Hello everyone. Now we will discuss one more topic from the same mechanics subject, that is kinetics of particle. So in this we will see the various terms. So let's start. First of all, what is kinetic actually? I have told you in the previous video also, the engineering mechanics. This mechanic is having the branches static and dynamic. Means static means object at rest or in equilibrium, and dynamic means when the object is not in equilibrium, or we can say when the object is moving in motion. The dynamic is having further two subcategories. First is kinetic and second is kinematic. In the previous video I have discussed about the kinematic when we are not considering about the reason behind the motion of the object, and now we are going for the kinetic. And kinetic means when we are considering the reason also. Object is in motion, but why or what are the things related to that motion we have to discuss. That part is known as kinetic. So in the kinetic, first we should go for a very few basic terms like Newton's law. We can say that Newton's first law and third law, these two laws are sufficient to explain the static part, or we can say we have used these two in the static of a particle. But when the object is having a acceleration, or when the object is having change in velocity, then it is necessary to use the second law of motion, which relate the motion of the body with forces acting on it. So in Newton first law and third law we have discussed about these, and if you remember, in all the chapters of static we have used these equations: summation of fx, summation of fy, that is equal to 0. So we have used these two equations in the topic of statics. But when we are going to discuss about the dynamics, we have to use the Newton's second law, and the Newton's second law says that it will be summation of f will be equal to mass into acceleration. Now we will go in deeper to this. What is the Newton's second law? We can say, as per the definition we have, summation of f is equal to mass into acceleration. So let's say a particle is there and the two forces, I'm going to tell you the practical meaning of this. A particle is there and it is having a mass m. Now this particle is having a force F1. We apply a force F1 on this, then we apply the force F2 on this. Due to these forces, it will have a net resultant force that we can say that is equal to summation of F. And if I have to represent this, I can represent it in another form. What I can say, as per Newton's second law, the same mass is there, we have applied the external force F1, F2. Due to these two forces, this mass or this particle or object will have a acceleration in this direction, and it will be equal to mass into acceleration. Whatever the mass of the object is there, multiply by the acceleration. So this is the meaning of Newton's second law, means this system can be equated like this. So we can say summation of f will be equal to mass into acceleration. In other terms, I will say, if I have to explain the same Newton's second law, I can say if this is the mass of the object and this particle is having a F1 force in this side, F2 force in this side. Now we have learned when these two forces are being applied on the object, it will have a resultant force, and the resultant force will be equal to this, like ma. That resultant force, if I say for this force F1 and F2, it will have a resultant force in this direction, that is what summation of F, and that is represented by ma as per Newton's second law. In all the previous chapters we have discussed about the equation summation of fx is equal to 0, summation of fy is equal to 0, but here in the dynamic part we are going to use summation of f is equal to ma, not 0, because we are considering the motion with the reason. Now we will go for the rotation. Let us say a particle of mass m, it is rotating. Now this is the particle of mass m, it is rotating about a point, let's say this is a point n. About this it is rotating or moving a curved path or rotatory motion. Now at any point the particle will be under two forces, such that tangential to the path and normal to the path, and this will be equal to tangential and normal acceleration of the particle. So I will explain this, what is the meaning of that. At any point the particle m is here having mass m, a particle is there, at this point it will have the two forces, the tangential force acting tangentially on the object and normal force acting normally on the object in this direction. So I can say this system will be equal to the acceleration in this direction, we can say the tangential acceleration and tangential and normal acceleration. So we can write the equation. So summation of Ft, that is equal to mass into acceleration in tangential direction. Similarly, force in normal direction is equal to mass into acceleration in normal direction. So here we can say the force in normal direction, that is equal to mass velocity square by rho, and this force in tangential direction, that is equal to mass into dv by dt. Or in simple, if I have to calculate, I can say acceleration in tangential direction, that will be equal to dv by dt. We can apply the same equation we already know. Acceleration in tangential direction will be rate of change of velocity, like this. Similarly, the acceleration in normal direction, that will be equal to, for this rotation part, that will be equal to v square upon r. So if you can remember these two equations, you can apply these two equations in numerical and directly you can find out the value of acceleration. Now we will talk about the next, that is the dynamic equilibrium. So what is the meaning of dynamic equilibrium? To understand the dynamic equilibrium, I am taking the same example. Let's say this object, this particle is there having mass m. The two forces F1 and F2 are being applied on this. Due to this two forces, there will be a mass into acceleration. Net acceleration will be produced due to this force in this direction. Now, if I say due to these two forces the object will start moving and its motion will be in this direction, as we can say the resultant of that force, summation F. But due to these two forces the object will be in dynamic, means motion. But if I say I have to make it in equilibrium, means in this case summation F, that is equal to ma. But if I imagine a equal and opposite force, means in this if I apply the same force in opposite direction, toward the opposite direction to this net force, I can take it minus because it is just opposite to that direction. So if I apply the same and equal force but in opposite direction to this system of forces, I will say like this, it will produce minus ma in opposite direction, because here it was the ma in this direction. In that case we can say the object will be in equilibrium, means it will be having summation that is equal to 0, or we can say summation F minus ma, that is equal to 0. Don't think that I am telling the dynamic equilibrium by taking like this ma we have taken in this direction and we are taking it 0. No, we are not getting it like this. The meaning of this dynamic equilibrium is, let's say this is the summation of F, the net resultant force acting due to these two forces, that was equal to ma, net mass into acceleration, like this. But if I add equal and opposite force ma on this side, if I add this force, then it will become 0. So this is the practical meaning of dynamic equilibrium. So this equation will we get if I add opposite force, I can say plus minus ma. This will be more clear to understand. So this is known as dynamic equilibrium. In this case the object is said to be in dynamic equilibrium. So we have few numericals. I have solved all those numericals in separate videos. You can watch those videos and it will be very clear, it will be very helpful to understand all these. So here I am going to discuss about the theory only, so I will not go for that part of video. So all these numericals I have solved already. Now we will go to the next term, that is known as D'Alembert's principle. Now D'Alembert's principle you have already discussed, but we will discuss it again. The dynamic equilibrium is actually the meaning of D'Alembert's principle, but we will discuss here. the system of forces acting on the object in dynamic equilibrium with the inertia force of the body. Means the same system I am taking, F1, F2, the forces acting on this object particle mass m. We are writing the equation summation F is equal to mass into acceleration. So D'Alembert's principle says that if we apply this force, you can see the definition, the system of forces acting on a body in dynamic equilibrium with the inertia force of the body. I have discussed about this. This is actually the dynamic equilibrium. I have explained F1, F2 forces acting on the particle m mass, and it is having net resultant force ma. Now if you apply the same minus ma, means if you apply the same force ma in opposite direction to this, the object will, or the system will, become in equilibrium. So the D'Alembert's principle is saying the same, means the system of forces will be in dynamic equilibrium due to the inertial force or inertia force. So this is known as inertia force. So D'Alembert's principle is saying the same. Due to this inertia force, the system of forces which was in motion or dynamic category was there, it will be again in equilibrium due to this inertial force. It is known as D'Alembert's principle. The work energy principle says that the change in kinetic energy of an object is equal to the net work done on that object. For example, let's say this is an object or particle having mass m and T1, this is the kinetic energy. Initially it is traveling or it is moving with a velocity and it is having a kinetic energy represented as T1. Now in that case, in that condition, the kinetic energy of this object is T1, that is half mv1 square. v1 is the initial velocity or velocity at first case. Now if we apply the F1 force and F2 force, or we can say n number of forces, I am taking here only the two forces. Now if I apply the number of forces, its velocity will change and its kinetic energy will also change. So it will have the T2 kinetic energy, and that will be equal to half mv2 square, v2 square, because this is v2 is the final velocity. So if I say due to these forces F1, F2 or n number of forces, we have done a work, and that is U. So work energy principle tell us the relation between the work done and kinetic energy. So according to that, we can say the work done will be equal to change in kinetic energy. So it means T2 minus T1, or we can say the final kinetic energy will be work done plus initial kinetic energy. So you can say like this, we can have the equation U is equal to half mv2 square minus half mv1 square. And we also know that work done is equal to force into distance. So whenever we have to solve any numerical on the kinetics part, or it is said to be calculated with work energy principle, you have to use both the equations. So these both equations will help you in finding the kinetic energy or work done. First, work done is equal to force into distance, whatever the forces we applied and how much distance is it travel due to that force. Similarly, we have to apply the equation, that is what the work done is equal to change in kinetic energy, T2 minus T1. So using these two equations, you have to solve the numerical. But here you have to understand few things, you have to remember few things. When we have to say work done, we have to consider only those forces which are responsible for the work done. Means if this is an object and a number of forces, let's say a vertical force is acting and a horizontal force is acting, and due to these two forces, or we can say these forces, this object, this particle move a distance in this direction and it reaches here. So if I say this is the F1 force and this is the F2 force, now if I have to calculate the work done in this case, so the work done will be due to F1 force. There is no reason of taking F2 in the equation of work done, because only F1 force is responsible for the work done in the given direction. So work done here is the motion or the movement. So F1 force will produce the movement in horizontal direction. So F1 we will take in this equation and distance how much it will travel, right? So similarly, when we have to say about the kinetic energy, so you have to again see kinetic energy is final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. So if object is or any particle is here, if I consider this is an object and here it is having the velocity v1, due to the external force applied it has traveled a distance and it reaches here. Now at this point the velocity is now v2. So the work done in term of work energy principle, we will say kinetic energy of this position minus kinetic energy of this position. Always remember my final minus initial, and here the work done will be force which is responsible for motion into the distance. Now we will discuss about the general plane motion of rigid bodies. General plane motion means when the motion is having the translation as well as rotation. I'm taking one example to explain the topic. You can see here. Let's say we are taking a wheel, a rotating wheel. This is the best example to understand just a wheel of a vehicle. So when a wheel is rotating, it is traveling the horizontal distance and it is moving or rotating also. Means let's say in the wheel, this is the initial condition, initial position of the wheel. Let's say I'm taking a point at the center and B point at the diametric edge or diametric circle point. So if I count or if I say the B point, it is moving in this direction, or after some time it reaches here, this is the B2 point or B2 particle, it has traveled a angular distance, or we can say it has rotated, as well as the A point which was at the center, it has traveled a linear distance. So this type of motion is known as general plane motion, or I will show you with the example with a diagram. This plane motion, we can say I have divided this plane motion into two, the same rotation and translation. Means the A point, if I am saying it is not rotating, the A point means from final to initial position the distance traveled. A point has traveled A1 to A2 and B has traveled B1 to B1 dash, means only under translation. Same if I say the second, A is only at the same position but B has traveled a angular distance theta. So I can divide a plane motion into two, translation as well as rotation. So this is known as general plane motion of rigid body. So to solve the numerical of this, we have to understand plane motion is equal to translation plus rotation. Translation, we have these equations, summation F is equal to ma, or we can say summation F is equal to 0. So why I am taking these two equations? Because we have to see in which direction the motion is. I told you in the previous equations, if you remember, if this is the object is moving in this direction. So in that case we will see Fx, summation of Fx is equal to ma, because motion is acting in horizontal direction, x direction. And what will be Fy? There is no motion in that direction, so Fy is equal to 0. So it depends in which direction the object is moving. So if the object is moving in vertical direction, then we will say Fy will be ma, Fx will be 0. So both can be applied, but it depends on the effective force. So if this is effective force, so Fx will be ma, or if this is effective force, this Fy will be ma. So it depends. So this is the equation with which we can find out the translation motion. And for rotation we use this equation. What is that? Summation m is equal to h naught g is equal to I bar alpha. Now what are these terms? I'll tell you. First, h dot g, rate of change of angular momentum, and I bar, that is the moment of inertia, we have discussed it in previous units, and alpha, that is angular acceleration. So in numericals these values will be given. So when we put all these values, we can find out the summation of moment of force for rotation. So using these two equations we can find out the general plane motion of any object. Now if I have to find out the energy and momentum in the rotation or in the general plane motion, we can see that this was the term which I have explained. Now in this case, the same work energy principle we can apply. What is that? Work energy principle says that work done is equal to change in kinetic energy T2 minus T1, or we can say the final kinetic energy is equal to work done plus initial kinetic energy. Now for the general plane motion, the kinetic energy will be T is equal to, this kinetic energy will be half mv square. This is for translation, kinetic energy due to translation, and I bar omega square, that is the kinetic energy due to rotation. So the final kinetic energy, it will be like this. So I can say, if you have to find out the work done, you have to apply this equation in the case of general plane motion, rather than only taking T2 minus T1. It will be in this formula, we can fill the value and we can find out the kinetic energy. So we have solved a number of numerical on this also. You can watch those videos.